What's going on, guys? It's good to have you on here. I thought I would just jump on here and share a little bit of my journey and story and how I came about building out the business that we currently have, which is a marketing and sales business. And the beautiful part is that I'm running this with my girlfriend, Sky. So I wanted to just give some backstory as to how we came about building out this business and where we see ourselves going. So, I mean, just kicking it off, I have always been someone who has known that they're going to be successful. I don't know about you guys, but you can kind of just feel it. I'm sure there's some of you out there who just feel that they're going to be successful. And that feeling has just taken me through so many different adventures and business ventures that I keep thinking that this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one. And it always just seems to progress. And right now, I mean, I feel like this is the one, and it feels really good in terms of just the direction that we're on and the people that we're helping. So, yeah, I've always had this entrepreneurial flair where, back when I was like 13, 14, I was making wallets out of duct tape, and I was always quite creative as well. And it got to the point where I think it was like just within COVID or just before COVID, where my first business venture was selling posters that I designed. And these were like rap posters because I'm big into rap music and basketball. And I was initially selling those. And through that process, there was a lot of learning in terms of what not to do. First and foremost, I thought that I set the expectations way too high. I thought that, I would just do some promotion on Instagram and, you know, have like this drop of posters that were dropping, and I would just hear the cha-ching, cha-ching in my in my Shopify account. But that was not the case. And it was a little bit of a disappointment. And that disappointment led me to, not progressing with that. But in hindsight, I shifted my perspective of things like that happening and not seeing things like that being a disappointment. That is just a part of business, right? And I did so many things wrong with that business. I didn't track anything. It was all just like, I call it vibe marketing, where you're just like vibing and just thinking that it's going to just pop off. Did not. But I learned so much through that process. And it's interesting how that led me to another venture, which I'll get to in a second. So then I stopped that and I kind of just went back into uni. I was studying graphic design. That's where the designing of the posters came from. And I thought that I was going to start like some type of graphic design business. Anyway, I ended up getting hired for a graphic design company. It was a Nike. They distribute Nike teamwear, and they needed someone to do the graphic design for the Nike teamwear. And it's so interesting because the only reason why I got that role as a graphic designer for this company was because of the posters that I created. As I mentioned, I was creating like the NBA posters and basketball posters and rap posters and everything. And those posters got me this role, which was fascinating. Anyway, then it got to the point where I was saw that AI was coming in, and I was like, "Holy shit! I'm not going to be a graphic designer for too much longer. I don't see the trajectory of this playing out in my favor." So I then just cut all the safety nets and just went into a high ticket remote closing role, which was interesting how I fell into that because I wasn't really aware of high ticket closing. Kind of just fell on my lap, and now it's became this big thing. And this was like 2, 3 years ago. So it's kind of just progressed, and now high ticket closing and remote closing is a really, really big industry. And I kind of just fell into it and started to develop this skill set for like a fair while ago now. So it's been a really exciting journey. And, even while we were doing the high ticket closing, although you're not really in business for yourself, I was still learning the principles of building out a business. I was working for an online mental wellness coaching company based here in Australia, and it was doing pretty good numbers. And I got to see the whole back end of the system and what it all looks like in terms of how businesses run and what the challenges are, how to solve problems quickly. And I was doing the closing, meaning like hopping on sales calls and pitching the program and the product, which was like 18 to 25K. And I had no sales experience. There was no sales experience. I was just like placed in this role, and I was just expected to sell these high ticket programs and business infrastructures to these corporate professionals, which is like the target market that we were targeting. So I was squeezed to grow. The crazy part about that was that I was the only sales rep for that company. So the success of the business laid on my shoulders. So it was pretty high pressure. There was a lot of roles that I was doing. It wasn't just the sales. I was helping out with doing the outbound calls and the back end systems and a little bit of the marketing. But it was a really, really good learning curve. And then it got to the point where, because we were in this sales coaching company, I saw that there was a massive gap with coaches and people in coaching, right? And even before, as I was in the process of working for that company, Sky actually got a role as a sales rep as well for a women's sales company in Australia. And this is like one of the top female sales companies in Australia. I think it definitely would be. And she ended up being the sales rep for that company. So that's where Sky got into the remote closing space as well. Anyway, through the process of working for this company, I saw that there was a lot of gaps with coaches in the online space. They had this incredible skill set, but that didn't really matter if they didn't know how to market and sell. So, and it was even the case for this company that I was working for too. So it got to the point where I was like, all right, instead of me working within this company as a closer and like helping out with the sales, I'm wanting to build my own business. How about I just take a step back? You guys be our first client and I help out with the marketing and the sales. Now, that was where my creativity from back when I was a designer got to flourish again, because I got to understand how to set up marketing systems in a way where you can attract people in through running specific ads, getting them into your ecosystem, getting them onto like a landing page, getting them to book a call, and then my sales skills would then help with closing them on the call. So I was now taking control of this whole business, like this marketing and sales of this whole business while running our business. And that was an extremely exciting growth journey. And I learned so much because I had to perform and I had to, make it work. And I learned, a lot through that process. And, marketing as a whole is just mass psychology. And this is where I just dove into books and my personal development and understanding of how people think and feel and emotional drivers and human behavior got to flourish while combining that with my creativity and also making money. So it's like this, all of it just came together where I was able to be creative. I was able to, fulfill the excitement of understanding about psychology and how to influence people through paid marketing and how to sell people. And it was just really, really exciting. And that is where the birth of our business came from. It was through just this journey of working and just like following the bouncing ball, following that desire for wanting to be successful and achieve great things. And it's just led me down this path. And now the business that we're in is Sky and I are running a marketing and sales business where we help online service providers or coaches with marketing and selling themselves, right? And scaling. And now we've helped a number of people with hitting 10K months. We helped a female leadership coach go from literally zero Instagram followers, zero nothing. She came from corporate, cut her ties with corporate and just launched this business. Within 34 days, we helped her hit 12K a month. I think, it was like 11 point something. So that was super exciting. We've also helped another guy who's in the trading space go from zero again. Or he might have had like a couple sales, but nothing was really set in stone. Essentially from zero to $60,000 within his first 32 days. So it's been super fun just seeing how we can print money out of thin air by leveraging these people's, like these coaches' skill sets and amplifying their skill sets with paid marketing and sales. So that's the journey that we're on now. We're partnering with, online information and service providers and coaches and just amplifying their skill set by implementing the right sales and marketing processes through the expertise that I developed with working with these companies and with Sky working with the sales company. So I just wanted to timestamp this and just, put it in stone and have it on YouTube just to reflect on. But that's where we're at in our journey, and I'm looking forward to seeing where we're going. Like, the mission is to help as many Australian coaches with hitting at least 10K per month, or adding on 10K per month. That just excites me so much, because I feel like, in this day and age, more and more people are starting to wake up where the traditional routes just aren't aligning with them. They don't want to be working 9 to 5. They don't want to be trapped in a job where they have to clock in and clock out, just bound to a location. They're wanting to have an impact and to do something bigger and to have more control. And what better way to do that than to learn a skill that you can help people with through coaching, and then amplify that skill with paid marketing, right? That is what it's all about. That gives you the control. So that is what we're doing. We're finding people who have this skill, these coaches who have this skill, but they're not sure how to amplify it with paid marketing. And yeah, I'm wanting to help as many Aussies as possible. Eventually it'll go around the world. And if some global people trickle in, that's totally fine. But more so the Aussies. It hits home. Sky and I are from a country town. So we love to see people with taking control of their life, right? That's our mission. That's our mission to help other people. And it's just so exciting. So yeah, that's our story. I'm going to add a part 2 to this when the next phase of our journey flourishes. But yeah, super excited with the journey that we're on. And, if you're a coach and you are looking for ways to amplify your skill set, and you're kind of just in this phase where you're confused or stuck, reach out. Just send me a DM on Instagram. We can have a conversation, see if it makes sense to collaborate.